live here now. Yep, we are live. Okay. All right. Well, welcome. This is Justin. This is a walk and talk for Saturday morning, December 26th. This is getting some of the ideas that are rattling around inside of the head, outside of the head. The audio quality might be mediocre at best for this conversation. We're walking. What you're hearing is me clicking on the snow. But the whole idea is creating something that can be consumed in a written format, actually, and creating something that's as close to our normal way of communicating as possible, which is going on a walk and setting myself up for success right on the front end here, going for a walk, looking out into the woods, getting a little bit of exercise, getting the heart rate up a little bit, and then the heart rate, 'cause I'm walking through snow, and then talking and sharing the ideas, seeing what shows up naturally from all that we've learned and all that we've created, and trusting the process that this is actually going to go someplace. So I am excited. I'm having a meeting with the Castos team on Tuesday. I did that with, just set it up through their main system. So just to really figure out how to turn these podcasts into something. They suggested a new mic, the iRig mic, which I think I'm going to get to be able to be more effective on the walk and talks. And just sharing the ideas that are rattling around inside the head. So my new favorite discovery is voice controls for the iPhone. That allows me to control what I'm doing via my voice and not have to touch. And that's important. It's 12 degrees right now. It's going to get colder out. So I don't want to, every time that I have to do a tap, I have to take a glove off, have to expose my hands to the cold. And I don't want to be able to do that. So I want to be able to control as much as I can via my voice with the creation. And then we start doing some production on the back end. So we'll get these things transcribed on the back end. Let me put the hood on actually here to make it a little bit, again, transcribed on the back end and then broken up into little pieces that can be used in the outside world to be able to share and connect. And I think I'm going to do some of these on some of the different platforms. Very excited to be able to just broadcast live and share some of the ideas and get some of the ideas that are rattling around inside the head, outside the head. I am very excited with visual to voice for triaging like tickets and ideas. So I've got a lot of my stuff captured. Everything's pretty much captured in Todoist, but I capture about 50 to 60 items every single day. So it takes time to be able to process every one of those items. So I'm looking for an inbox that I could actually start to process visually or with the voice. It'd actually be fun to be able to do it visually, moving things from a pile. When I realize most important is binary, left or right, two choices, giving ourselves two choices every single time. Sometimes three choices is a better option. I'm looking at visualizing almost like a triangle of options, but it's more of a cognitive load to make one of three choices. If we start to look at left or right for a solution. So for instance, if I've got my list of to-do list and that shows up as flashcards, the inspiration, this is gyroscope. When I do my mood in the morning, the mood tracking, what they do with gyroscope, mood tracking is, you can say it's yes or no. Am I feeling tired? Yes or no, right? Yes is to the right, no is to the left, right? And then the cards are out of there. So it's the same thing. Is this item actionable or not actionable? Actionable to the right, not actionable to the left. And then the ones that become a little bit more actionable can go someplace else. We want to be able to attach some metadata to each one of these cards for what's happening, right? Being able to create a triage system for the stuff that we're working on. Like, right, is this something I'm going to do today or not today, right? The actionable stuff today or not today. Is something I'm going to do this week or not this week, until you get into the things that we can actually execute on in the moment. So I'm excited about that. And it's just all about removing friction from our thoughts to creating stuff. So I named a new company, Idea to Reality. Just remove friction from between turning our thoughts into real things out there into the world, and whichever environments start to work. I'm excited about that. So we'll just start it. Just start something in the idea to reality at the speed of idea to reality at the speed of voice. It really is. It's idea to reality, taking our ideas and turning them into real things out in the world at the speed of voice, and having systems for being able to create that and to make it happen. And, as long as we're willing to take a little bit of a left turn on the stuff that we want to create, we can literally create anything that we wanted to create. When I was part of a large corporation, a lot of things can't get done in large corporations. They take about 18 months to actually get created. It takes a while, and that's a worthwhile venture in some cases, especially when you're getting paid to do that. But if you want to see the thing actually exist out in the world, work on it with the human beings. The minimum viable audience is yourself. And then it can be you and one other person. Then you can build it up from there and see if there is an audience for the things that you're trying to create and build. And it is cold here. It's cold on my nose. So I don't know how much talking I'm going to be able to do here. I'm 5 minutes and 50 seconds into this one. But it's the idea of reality at the speed of voice. Taking your ideas and turning them into real things in the world at the speed of voice. Try me out. That's what we'll do. Try me out. Okay, here's ways to connect. Connect via Yak. Connect via Yak. Connect on the website to see current things that are working. Maybe doing some Airtables. Just looking to see if we're going to be playing the SEO space. What is ranking? What are people doing? What is ranking? What's working now? What are people creating? What are people building? How are people connecting to some of the pieces that they need to connect to? Okay, so I feel like my throat is itchy. My nose is cold. Probably got to get a little bit of a face shield. So I got to beef up the equipment a little bit. The shoes are doing fine because the socks are the key thing more than the shoes. Socks are more important than the shoes for the feet. The hands are doing okay. They're a little bit cold to be able to work with. And this is taking a little bit of a cognitive load to walk through the cold. And we'll work through this, right? I'd like to get like 30 minutes worth of audio today. And then, run it through Otter, run it through Grammarly, just see where these things, see how these things start to show up in the wild. And it's literally just going on walk and talks and working the way that we want to work and sharing the way that we want to share. And taking their ideas and turning them into reality really quickly. And I think live sessions are another manifestation of that. Live sessions are another manifestation of taking ideas and turning them into real things at the speed of voice, right? Until it's at the speed of thought, which will happen at some point in time where our stuff starts to, this is not manifestation, although there is a manifestation component, happy to go down that road, but this is for the practical person. This is taking care of my CPA mind that likes to have things buttoned up and created, but also realizes that that's not the way things actually work in the real world, right? They work, there's so much going on beyond what we can see consciously and what we can start create. So every single one of our ideas is either like the gap between what we want to create. That's interesting. Gap between what we want to create and the reality. It's either just a matter of time. It's like learning something, and that could be an educational component, or it's another human resource. Like, right, somebody has the puzzle pieces that we need to start to create the things that we want to create, right? We just allow, like, it's out there. It's out there in the world. Most of the things that we don't want to create aren't so unusual and extraordinary, right? They're not so, but they all can be created. And it's just a matter of what path we're going to take. Are we going to take the education route? Are we going to take the wait and see and wait for signal routes, the Pam route, the Abraham Hicks route, the making them work? Are we going to take test it out on ourselves? Are we going to take the minimum viable product route where we can go in any one of those directions? It just matters which one feels right? And which one we want to spend the most amount of time and energy on. Where we want to spend the biggest investment to move them forward. And so because everything that we want to accomplish either can be had through knowledge gathering, like gathering more knowledge or gathering more work, testing out, right? The more amount of tests that we start to create and work with, the better. And then we'll see where else there is from that perspective. I am excited about book launches. book being created by a keynote, 40 to 60 slides, and then doing a keynote on one of those. Maybe start creating a keynote every single day, see which ones actually can turn into books, and start building out those artifacts. Any time that we're spending inside of a computer can be spent on creating and drafting, like planning and creating a keynote to be able to work with. I've got like a lot of different party tricks. We got the product hunt structures, which are just going through product hunt, looking for inspiration. Can we create that? Just building our muscle, taking our ideas and fast twitch muscle of turning them into real things, and realizing that number one priority is walking through the woods. Walking through the woods and walking through the woods and creating that way, and being able to build and doing the brainstorming that way, and being able to connect people. So if it's a combination of doing our own brainstorming and connecting with people, right? And just seeing what starts to show up, but also taking a deliberate and structured approach. I like that. Deliberate and structured approach of like, here's a thing that we're going to do every day until the strategy that we want emerges. And that's a matter of how much time are we willing to wait to make this strategy a real thing out there in the world. And then seeing, the sales and marketing, the monetization, like how do we start to monetize the stuff that we're working on? And it's probably just asking for the sale. It's just asking for the sale. And learning how to build that mindset of that seller's mindset. And that's probably going to come through books and listening to things multiple times, and how are people selling stuff, and that can come through podcasts, and that can come, right? There's tons of ways to start to get the education. The way that I like to get it is through the ear holes, because it's the least intrusive on things that we're doing in other parts of the world, right? Like I can listen to podcasts right now as I'm sitting here walking and talking. I'm just so inspired by Mills, who's he called? Barney the Horse now? Mills from Us Two Games, who just created a ranting podcast that was challenging to listen to. He's like thinking about going down the road of like interviewing people and doing interviews, and just allowing the mind to start to flourish, and creating the experience they wanted to create, willing to practice the art to make things work, and doing it in a way where we take care of our mental health. I think that's an important one, where we take care of our mental health and just start paying attention to that. So the intention is just to go on long walks in the woods, share different ideas, get stuff captured, get them out there into the world, get it recorded, and then process it on the back end, turn it into multiple pieces of content, and turn it into multiple pieces of content, and turn it into other pieces of work that we are able to create. And I guess if you're going on a walk, does somebody have to probably do it selfie stick wise? Do it selfie stick, right? I think that's the place. So it's like a person doesn't have to walk backwards with what they're actually creating, and then just take that raw video, take that content, take that live hike, and then turn it into something else out there in the world, right? Just do the one take hike and really just see what's important to people, and interviewing people in a hike, and interviewing people as you're walking and talking, getting it recorded and getting it captured, and just having the devices in place that start to make that happen and make it work in a beautiful way. I think that'll be fun. Just doing it. And then what are the jobs where you can just go and walk and talk? It's like, this is it. It is. We input all of this different stuff, and then we can have an inbox. What is it? What does that inbox look like? What does the inbox look like? The meetings, the live synchronous meetings, the asynchronous meetings. What does the inbox of work look like? And then just clear out our inbox every single day and come up with ways to more efficiently and more effectively clear out the inbox every single day to see what might happen, and see where we might be able to create something new. I think it'll be fun. Do a little bit of work, do it over, see where it comes from. So, and then just being able to close our inboxes as quickly as possible, and being able to navigate through. It's like, how often do we want to? I'm thinking about the income plays here, right? If we got income goals for the year, why can't the name of the game be to satisfy those income goals as quickly as possible? Satisfy the income goals as quickly as possible. So and then just see see what's not happening in the background, right? Yeah, and just start putting your buckets together for the stuff that we need to make happen. Like satisfy those income goals as quickly as possible at the beginning of the year. And then, it's just a little bit of a financial modeling play. See what's coming in, what's going out, what's going through the middle, and where we have different ways to be able to create, and then just start satisfying the different aspects of the ways that we're going to work. I'm excited about thinking about getting funded by the government just to do the walking and talking. I think there's a mental health perspective. There's a mental health component to it. It's just like, how do we put a package together around this walking and talking stuff to be able to work in as creative a way as possible, and use the tools that we want to use. I think that's it, right? Use the tools we want to use and see where people are starting to pay attention. What are the tools that we're using to be able to do this work, right? I'm using Spreaker right now. I might move over to Castos, right? And maybe it's just an affiliate conversation with some of those tools to be able to turn it. And I think it is. After 2 years, the SEO is going to start to take over. The SEO is going to start to catch. And that is going to be the main income source, because we're going to have a lot of traffic from the SEO, right? And we're going to be ranking for a lot of keywords, and we're going to be able to quickly be able to mobilize and create content around keywords. And then we're going to train ourselves to be able to create content that really, that competes at a higher level. At the beginning, it's not going to make sense. It's just going to be quantities of blah, right? And then we'll tweak and we'll improve and we'll make stuff better as more opportunities and more possibilities start to come. But how do we start turning these audio messages into things, right? And maybe it's structured. Maybe we break it down a little bit. Maybe it's 2-minute audio clips and we do 30 of those. Maybe we start with a list of audio clips each day. Maybe it's starting with an list of audio clips, like here's the keywords that we want to start to go for, and then how do we optimize? And then you're making an order to Google. Google is it's like, I was using the analogy of like orders to the universe, and you're effectively making an order to Google, and Google is representative of, that's cool actually, right? Making an order to Google. And Google is the closest thing to making an order out there into the universe, because it's a search engine, right? And what are people using a search engine? They're making an order. They're making a request to the universe, and they get some results back. And typically the results start to come back. What was that tool that I just saw that did Google vetting, right? That actually vetted some of the stuff that said, hey, this is useful. This is useful work. This is useful when you search for this thing, and start making orders. Start making orders, and we don't. So where we this gets interesting. So looking at it as orders of the universe, these are like Google searches that start to, and can we find from a Google search, that's SEO, right? Can we find from a Google search the answers to the things that we're looking for, and play it in a monetization way, right? Looking through these search engines and seeing if we can find the things that we're looking for. And if we can't find the things that we're looking for and the effective answers to the questions for the things that we're looking for, then we are going to create the answers to those things. But if we can find the answers, if they exist already, this is inspired by what the Canadian government does. It's basically, if you can find the answers already, then and then you have a replicatable way of using that information, then you're great, right? And then you just look at, and maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's in YouTube. Maybe that's where we start to build and create, right? How do we communicate things in an effective way? How do we communicate things in an effective way without actually having the video, just having the audio messages? And how do we communicate it so it's closer to our natural way of thinking? And I think that's an important one, because this is the closest to my natural way of thinking that we've got here. It's basically going from the brain to the mouth and then out to the web immediately. And now, how do we start to make that consumable? What we do most of the time, and we can rewire the brain actually to start to make things consumable. That's okay. Once we figure out what the paths are and the ways to be able to work. But I think, yes, I need to start having partnership around some of these things, right? That we're or we're not inspired to sit down in front of the computer to make them happen, we need to have partnership around these things, right? Because when we're not going to do the work, and I'm looking at, like, I've known the SEO stuff for a while, it's just that the work is not as inspiring as you'd like it to be, so have to compensate for that. I'm going back.